welcome to Season 2 of the Branigan Communications Podcast. This week is special. I'm joined by Amanda Holloway, Griffin Goda, and Grace Gregg. Yeah, that is a lot of G's, folks.
G6 Incorporated, actually.
Yeah, today we're discussing the new spectator sport, food. Shows like The Great British Bake Off, Iron Chef, Chopped inspired our team activity last week, and we called it the Branigan Communications Food Wars. So we have a couple of the winners. We have a couple of one member from the team that didn't win. We're not going to use the word losers. And then we're just going to talk a little bit about teamwork, and then we have a little fun exercise at the end. So let's get to it, shall we? Griffin, so why don't you set the scene for what we provided the teams last week?
So we do bi-weekly staff meetings where we usually try to talk about some sort of a topic related to work or culture or something that is relevant and or interesting. And then you and I, Kathleen, we're trying to think of something non-PowerPoint related, as I recall.
Boom, mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Somehow we got to some weird hybrid of Chopped and Top Chef, my personal favorite cooking show. So what we did is broke everyone into teams. We decided to do a 30-minute time limit, and then we had ingredients that you had to use. You had like 5 ingredients, I think, that you had to use in your dish, and then we had kind of a little pantry where you could take from as you wanted to, basically. But the goal was to put people in a position where you had to kind of assign roles, work together fast, be creative, come up with like a name for the dish and a concept and things like that, like kind of sell it a little bit, and then also hopefully put something edible on a plate in a half hour, which everyone like really did well at. All the dishes were really good.
Right, and then the judges were myself, Ina Garten.
Correct, and I was Griffin. Tom Colicchio with hair.
Tom Colicchio.
So that was kind of the setup. Like everyone came in and we introduced what was going on. Grace, like when that was kind of dropped on you on a Wednesday morning, what did you think?
Well, I walked into the kitchen to get my coffee that morning, and I saw the ketchup and the chocolate syrup specifically, which happened to be the 2 secret ingredients that we had to use. And I was like, why is there ketchup and chocolate syrup? And why is everything getting set up like this? I thought it was almost, I don't know, I thought it was gonna be like an arts and crafts kind of thing, not, I don't know what I was thinking really, but Griffin and Kathleen, like what is, with all this food stuff, setting up different stations, I don't even know. So I didn't think too much about it, but then when we walked in again for the actual meeting, an hour later, there was very dramatic music playing, and
dun, dun, dun.
Couldn't figure out, still didn't know what was coming. But then, yeah, I wasn't too surprised. I mean, I feel like Griffin, we did the improv thing, and that was a little bit more like stand up, get out of your comfort zone. This was more stand up, get out of your comfort zone. So It was good overall, though, even though I lost.
We thought initially, Kathleen and I, trying to read the room as you usually do, we weren't sure what the initial reaction was to it.
Yeah, we thought people were pretty mad that they had to do it. I think that was just like the concentration.
Yeah.
But Amanda, tell us about your team and the process. I mean, we had the teams kind of put together a recipe. They had 4 people, so 3 to 4 people. So they had to put together the recipe. Obviously, we know there can't be too many cooks in the kitchen. So you have to have a sous chef and a lead chef, and then we also had them do kind of, name a restaurant and also do a presentation to the judges. And so then obviously Griffin and I, very accomplished judges, picked a winner. But Amanda, tell us about your process and how your team approached it.
Yeah, so you had the half-hour clock start, and like, where did you guys even begin?
Well, like I said, we first looked at some like hot food trends. So, for example, some of the ingredients were chicken sausage and Eggo waffles. So this chicken and waffles craze, we kind of started there, and then we ended up, because the pantry had hash browns we ended up concepting with like a breakfast skillet. So, and then we just kind of sprung into action and went from there. I mean, there's not a lot of time, which I think is good sometimes because it helps you go with your instinct. But we did a really nice job of sort of divide and conquer. We had some people prepping materials. I was at the stove, and Janet, who was on my team, was also kind of bouncing around doing a lot of different things. And she was also sort of the mastermind behind our restaurant concept.
Yeah, I saw her walking around with a little notepad, just kind of like scratching things off or adding things. Like, your team seemed very just like down to business because you were just at the stove the whole time. Janet was, kind of, overseeing everything, and you guys just seemed to kind of snap right into it.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, it's interesting because being a client, Megan and Janet were on my team, and so I work with them on my account, and so it was kind of nice to have like that side of things and just show that we can work just as well together, not in necessarily a professional setting. So it was good.
Was that done on purpose? Because I worked with Ashley, who I work with here, obviously. She's my boss, so essentially. So was that done on purpose by you guys?
Well, I think we tried to pick the teams that we thought, maybe there's an existing kind of working relationship, but really we wanted to do it ahead of time so that people just didn't gravitate towards, maybe who was comfortable or who they thought they could work really well with. We wanted to make sure that you got out of your comfort zone that way too. So that was part of the strategy. So what did you learn from like a team building perspective? Because I saw a lot of really good things happening and a lot of different types of communicating. What I found very interesting in the final product was everyone had eggs, they had waffles, they had chicken sausage, they had the pantry, as Griffin said, but everyone made a different egg dish. Mm-hmm. Like no two were the same, which I found really interesting.
Yeah, it was crazy that 4 totally different dishes, really, and just the different ways that you can use those ingredients. I mean, you didn't technically win, but I feel like
everybody was a winner.
What was your team's approach? Because I feel like I said, everybody really made a good dish.
Our team's approach was super different than Amanda's. We divided. Lucy and I were in the kitchen, and then Rebecca and Ashley were behind the scenes doing coming up with naming the dishes and our restaurant and all of that, which is ironic because right before, when we found out what we were doing, Lucy and I both said, before we even knew we were on the same team, neither one of us can cook. I was like, I can't cook, and she was like, me neither. And then we both happened to be on the same team, and we were the ones in the kitchen.
So how did that happen then?
Well, we looked at the ingredients that we needed to use, and Ashley was like, oh, eggs, blah, 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 like whatever, named off the other ones, let's do an omelet. And I was like, I can cook an omelet. I have cooked an omelet before. Like I said.
So you doubted yourself.
I did doubt myself. You guys clearly didn't notice this because I did get a lot of praise for the omelet, but behind the scenes, trying to cook the omelet, I went about it the wrong way. I cracked the egg first and then put all the ingredients on top of it, and then I burned it a little bit, but I put the burned side inside the omelet. So you guys didn't even notice. So
I noticed a little bit, but that's not why you lost. No, I'm just kidding. I noticed a little bit, but actually I thought it was super creative, and I actually happen to like things sort of like semi on the well done side.
See,
just not filet mignon.
Me too.
Yeah,
so
I get grossed
maybe
out.
you just got the right judge's table.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really interesting comment because I like to cook my eggs a little bit underdone.
Ugh.
And so our
Well, and
team
yours
won.
were.
French do it.
Well, I just like them. What do they call them when they're not fully scrambled? I forgot. There's
It's like
a name
over
for 'em.
easy or not.
I don't know. But as the winning team, it's interesting that you guys both prefer well done eggs. Mine were not well done.
Well, but so I don't know if you talked about your finished product yet, but yours was kind of like the perfect bite. You had 2 different bites of like sweet and savory, and like if you got it all in one forkful, it was like a perfect little breakfast bite.
They also played off the bowl trend,
Yeah,
which I
right.
found super, like, the presentation was very innovative. So there was some, and by the way, no one could Google recipes. This was all like if you were in the chop kitchen, you have to use your smarts.
I would say that it was, and I mentioned this right after the competition, but I was really impressed with how well everyone worked together and kind everybody was, even though it was a competition. I know there can be sort of that fun, like trash talking type, environment, and it was actually really pretty collaborative. There wasn't, people weren't like hiding the salt and pepper. We were working on the
But
stove.
you considered it.
Yeah, well, I did yell out a couple times for like, "Where's my stuff?"
I was gonna say, I heard some yelling from your team.
Yeah, that was
but-
me.
Well, and I
Healthy
expected
competition.
to see just like stuff everywhere, like ingredients flying over and really messy, but it was all just very orderly and everyone just kind of did their thing. There was definitely like an intensity. People were moving fast, but it was very like under control.
See, I don't know. I did
don't
not
agree?
get this vibe that you guys all got
What'd you-
from being in the kitchen. I felt like there were way too many cooks back there. That's why I liked that our team did it the way it did, because then nobody was yelling at me to do something. Lucy did the more like she was like, I feel like if you took our team and your team would have been like the actual team on Chopped or something that's like running around and like, get me, like, and then our team would have been like the slow, like lackadaisical, like Lucy was like drawing designs on the plate and I'm like trying to cook the egg without burning. Oh, I burned it. And then our, like the other half of the team is not even in the kitchen. But I did feel like there was a lot of people in back there. It was very claustrophobic.
Yeah, I guess I didn't feel like it was claustrophobic, but I did feel, I don't know, I feel like our team was a lot of type A personalities and we're all like down to business, so I think that worked well for us. But like what I thought was interesting too is that it came across as so, cool and collected to the judges. But, the AC wasn't working and we're all over a stove. There's like 4 burners rolling.
Now. It's part of the challenge. The climate was part of the challenge.
We opened a window too.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
What about the presentation? How did you decide?
Yeah.
Because on a pitch team, not everyone necessarily has to pitch. You choose your best presenters. How did that work with your teams?
Well, interestingly, Janet kind of ran with the whole concept and just like, she's like, nope, got it. And she had it all worked out. And I would say that of all the areas when the other teams went, that was probably our weakest point, was our presentation skills. The look of the dish was awesome and the taste of the dish and the idea behind it, but the actual presentation was a little...
Yeah, that was tough for us to figure out.
We agree.
How to balance that. Yeah, what's the food versus the presentation? Because we probably scored you lower on that end, but we boosted up the food to kind of counterweight that, I guess. It was tough. It was close. I don't know. Judging is tough. I don't know how they do it.
Our presentation, I felt like, was a little bit disconnected too, because the way that we set it up, like Ashley and Rebecca had come up with the concept of like the chicks. Like we were the 4 chicks, like playing, and we were a brunch place and playing off that idea. But then there wasn't really time for further explanation. So then when we got up there and Lucy and I started talking about the dish, we kind of just had to like roll with it. So I felt like there was a disconnect. Maybe you guys didn't pick up on that, but
I don't know if I felt there was a disconnect. I think probably just because of how ridiculous it was. Skylar's story stands out the most.
Skylar's story was amazing.
It was about a Amish farm.
Yeah, and how they got the eggs and all of the ingredients from their farm and made
Yeah.
everything from scratch.
They had a total backstory
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, so
So
that was good.
We had to weigh the weight of how good the food was versus the story.
Right.
I do think it's interesting to, decide, is it the selling of the product that gets you the win, or is it the quality of the product? Clearly it was the quality.
Well, and that's
in this
where
instance it was, but I mean, that's a great question, and that's the constant struggle with every, small business or,
A pitch is
a
like
pitch,
more
right?
of a tying it back to our business. I think that can be more of a back and forth there. Like your pitch can probably win you business on things where maybe the sizzle's more than the substance in some cases,
Well, you have to have both.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you have to have both, but but the sizzle is, the age old, that's what people gravitate towards.
Yeah. Right. In this case, I think the food has to we decided ultimately the food has to weigh out a little bit more because it's a
food competition.
it's a food competition. Yeah, that's the ultimate end product. But yeah, it is. I mean, what did you think about how we loosely tied it back to pitching, team building, that kind of stuff? Do you think it applied?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, from every aspect, from the way that you guys like strategize, putting us in teams, to what we were doing, and the whole thing definitely did. I felt like our team, we really bonded over like the way that we went about it too, because there was no beef, there was no we were all very
Chicken
calm.
sausage.
Yeah. We all were very calm. I personally thought that 30 minutes was too much time. I think 15 or 20 would have really pushed it and made it more stressful, because we were done and we were like, okay. But again, I guess maybe that's not what it took to win. Maybe we rushed it.
Well, I think you want to have your food done for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You can, if you had a different idea, maybe it would have been better for a presentation standpoint. But I don't know. You were just a few minutes ahead of schedule. I feel like you didn't have a ton of time.
Yeah, but I don't know. Overall, our team, just from that standpoint, at the end, we were like, well, we're done. We're calm, and it was good.
Well, and it's one of those things too where if you're done and you feel prepared and ready, you're just good. If you don't need all the time and you feel like you're good to go, that's fine.
Yeah, and I think that helped too then with presenting on the fly, kind of not, then I wasn't, at least, like a little bit spastic like I can be if I'm stressed, because I wasn't, so that was good.
Any other final thoughts before we move on to the next activity we have?
No, I want to say thank you to the Branigan Communications team for inviting me to participate. I got to see a side of a great group that I don't often get to see. I think that it's really good to do this kind of thing regularly, get you outside of the day-to-day, get your nose out from your book and your computer and look up and interact with each other and engage, and that's where creativity and relationships get built. And so I think it was a great exercise, and I would love to do it again sometime.
Agreed.
That's so fun. Grace, any parting words?
Well, Amanda, I think, said it best, but yeah, thank you. I really appreciate doing these things, like whether it's this or yoga or whatever, because like Amanda said, getting your nose out from behind the computer helps me be creative and like maintain focus and maintain like motivation. All of that stuff goes into it. So I appreciate this time.
Well, yeah, and thank you for all of that. And Amanda, of course, you're part of the family. So, but I loved seeing, as an observer, Griffin and I, say that twice. Griffin and I, it was an interesting perspective to watch everyone work together and not have it be a madhouse, and and come up with like really decent.
It was cool. Yeah, it was really cool.
So thank you for your willingness and collaboration. It was really fun. With that,
speaking of fun,
it's kind of a rocky transition, but since we're headed into summer and we think it's just about summer out, we're going to play a little game called This or That. I say two things, and you can't overthink it, just your knee-jerk reaction. We're going to go round the horn and tell me which one you prefer. For example, summer or winter? Amanda, which do you prefer?
Summer.
Griffin?
Summer.
Summer.
Okay, that was just a trial. So
Just so we all understand.
Just so
how
you
it
all
works.
understand.
Summer here. We're
okay,
happy.
so I'm
So
gonna
these
do-
are Milwaukee specific, right?
these are Milwaukee specific.
Yep.
So Amanda, we're gonna start with you, and we're just gonna go quick rapid fire. Jazz in the park or chill on the hill?
Jazz in the park.
Jazz in the park.
Chill on the hill.
Why?
Bayview. Oh, and the
Bayview.
people. Yeah, and
Okay.
the ambiance. All of it. So much.
Cops or Leon's frozen custard?
Cops.
Cops. You just want to say Leon's.
No, I want to say both.
You
It's
can't.
hard to choose.
You can't overthink it.
It's not this
Okay.
and that.
Well, I go to Cops more, so Cops.
Quattro G's. Don't overthink it. Bradford Beach or Atwater Beach?
Atwater.
Yeah, Atwater, better views, nice and it's quieter.
Yeah, there's not even a competition.
Atwater.
Okay. Wow. Unanimous.
Unanimous. Edelweiss boat cruise or urban kayaking? Go.
Urban kayaking.
Never done either, but probably the urban kayaking.
Urban kayaking. This is.
Are we boring?
We're boring.
What's another one? You know, there's these
Oh.
like taxis now or whatever,
Or
water taxis.
If you rent a pontoon boat through Riverwalk Boat Rentals,
Not a sponsor.
You can just not a sponsor yet.
But you can be a sponsor if you'd like to be.
That's fun because then you can just take it out. It's not like a big thing.
That's not like the paddle tavern.
No.
No.
I haven't done
That's
that.
also
That
a
looks
thing.
pretty fun.
It's just like renting a pontoon. It's super fun. Okay. Estabrook Beer Garden or Hubbard Park?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna have to go Estabrook.
I've been to Estabrook. I'll have to say Hubbard Park.
I was gonna say careful
Yeah.
double G's.
Shout out to Hubbard Park.
He's got a big event coming up at Hubbard Park.
Estabrook. I've never been to Hubbard Park actually, so
I'll let you know.
Okay, I think I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Twisted Fisherman or Barnacle Buds?
Barnacle Buds.
Yeah, Barnacle Buds.
Barnacle
I wish I
Buds.
could disagree
Yeah.
with you on some of these, but
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Nothing. Also, these
I
are
used-
two different ones, Door County or the North Woods.
this is a good one.
wow. Well, I'm a Door County lover, so I'm gonna go Door County.
See, I love Door County, but the Northwoods. There's just so much more to do. Random lakes that you can find, camping. I have to say Northwoods, Criv Vegas.
well, I've never been to Door County, so I have to say to Northwoods from that standpoint. I know. This summer I'm trying to make it, but yeah.
Favorite Northwoods location?
Oh God.
Fast one.
I don't know. I mean, how north do we have to go here? This is stressful.
Grace, we're gonna get you out
Favorite
to see the big
woods
wide open.
location,
well, this
non-direction specific.
Well, I really like Green Lake, even though that's not a woods, but a wooded area.
We'll accept it.
And I think that wraps up the this or that for this edition. Thank you to Amanda Holloway, Griffin Goda, my fellow judge, Grace Gregg, also known as Quattro G's. Thanks so much for joining me today. Excuse me, us today.
We have all been chopped.
We've all been chopped. So if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to us on your favorite podcast network. Leave a review, make it a good one, and shoot us a message on Instagram at Branigan Communications to let us know what you want to hear next. Thank you. See you next week.